Happy Friday and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Rocketeer Minute, where each and every day, Monday through Friday, we've been going over the greatest adventure movie Walt Disney's ever made, the 1991 Joe Johnston-directed feature, The Rocketeer. I'm one of your hosts, Jim O'Kane of TVDads.com.
And I'm Hal Bryan, an airplane nerd from the Experimental Aircraft Association here in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. So, Jim, we got another Jim with us today.
Yep.
We've got somebody who is responsible for creating so much of the look and feel about this movie that we love, and we've been talking with Jim for quite a while, and we're thrilled that we were finally able to work with him and get him on the show. He's a prop maker, a model builder. He restores vintage props and artifacts, all kinds of good stuff. A fascinating guy that I'm thrilled that we have a chance to talk to. So, hello, Jim. Excuse me. Let's take that again. Jim LoGiudice.
Well, hello. Well, it's great to be on the show. It's like I think I've been with you guys since day one on this thing, you know, driving back and forth to work and listening and talking along with you as I listen on the on the radio.
Hopefully you haven't been like screaming and pounding the dashboard
That's
too
not
much.
right
It's
at
just,
all.
no, you morons. But and you've been, Jim, you've been great about sharing with us a few absolutely priceless to us, some behind-the-scenes photos and prop work in action from this film. We can't thank you enough for enriching this experience for us so much.
You're very welcome. It just kills me that I didn't take more pictures at the time. You know, it's just like, you know, it's, you know, I was new to the business. This was my second big film to work on, you know, myself and a lot of the other guys on the show were, you know, we're new to the business, you know, early 20s and just geeks, just geeky kids, you know, like, oh, we get to make stuff, yeah.
Wow. That's exactly how I want to picture it. And you know, kidding aside, though, we've talked to a number of people who've been involved with, you know, all aspects of the production of this film, or multiple aspects of the production. And I think every one of them carries a bit of that same sort of enthusiasm and love for the subject matter. And I think it shows through. I think you see it in just about every frame of this film. You see that the people involved were very into what they were doing. They were passionate about it. They were excited about it and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, it was interesting because, you know, we never even heard of The Rocketeer, and I believe it was, I don't remember who dropped off the graphic novel at the time when we're looking at this thing, and we're like, wow, what's this? You know, this is really cool. And everybody involved, you know, from the property masters to, you know, obviously, you know, the production staff were just so excited about this. And, yeah, I mean, the excitement was really just there. It was fun.
I got to guess the main part of this, my fascination in your particular work is the rocket pack itself. I mean, I know you were involved in the fabrication and all the work on the background stuff of how it evolved into what we know as the X3, which actually didn't originally look like that. But you've sent us pictures of some of the different iterations. Could you talk about how that came about, that the fabrication of the rocket pack?
Yeah. It you know, we started off just going right off photocopies of the graphic novel, and got to go back, turning the Wayback Machine. Basically, we started off with just by working directly off the comic and creating that simple single thruster round shaped bullet rocket pack. You know, there was that very first one that we did, and then of course the helmet, which the very first one that was sculpted out was more like the comic, and it didn't really translate three-dimensionally. So the first one we did was kind of goofy looking. But I knew that, you know, right off the bat when we finished that first rocket and you put it on somebody's back, it just looked bulky. It just looked stupid. I mean, because it looked like it didn't even fit your back at all. But hey, it was a comic, so, you know, it's the first one out. So, you know, we built that one, painted it up, and sent it off to production and waited for feedback.
And then you went on to that more of a heavy bomber look to the final one, the one that we see in the film. It just
Yeah, we had the first one that was done was that bullet shape, very round, and of course it sat too far off the person's back, so it looked really weird. So the next version was, let's try to triangulate the barrel of the rocket so that it had kind of a flat spot that could pull it in to your body a little closer. So that was a second version, a little smaller, a little closer to the back, and even still that one didn't look right. Then from there, the third version was the one that looked more like the final version of the film, where it had sort of a twin, twin rockets, and they were kind of in kind of a V shape.
Yeah.
And that one, I just remember that one was done over the weekend, and I wasn't involved with that one. It was done super fast, just fast and furious. And from there, it was like, okay, this is what the thing needs to look like. Now let's dial it in and do the final version. Wow. We had a lot of guys working on this thing. I mean, a lot of hands, and everybody, had little bits and pieces and parts of it.
Yeah, the time frame for all that creativity of getting, saying this doesn't work, go on to the next one. This doesn't work, go to the next one. Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, we're talking in the matter of weeks from pre-production into where you're rolling it in front of cameras and getting it ready for people like ILM and Disney and all these other people to get it on film.
Yeah. Well, I have to say that I worked for a company called, at the time it was Design Setter. So we didn't work for Disney. We were a small shop that was just down the road from Disney. And, it was a shop that obviously Disney could save a few bucks and have these guys do it, non-union shop, small shop, we can kind of keep it just sort of kind of private, and, we had, the drawings would come in. I remember when we first got started, and I think it's funny because I started rolling through the credits here, and I'm like, oh, Brad Einhorn, that's the guy's name. That's the guy that dropped off he dropped off the graphic novel and a case of Beeman's gum. We're like, cool, we're working on rocket packs and we get gum. What's the gum for? No, it's in the movie. They got it and they use it. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so this must be like paging through an old yearbook and saying, "Oh, I know that guy. I went to school with this one."
Yeah. I was like, couldn't remember the guy's name, and then I see Andy Siegel under Brad's name. Oh, right, now he was a friend of one of the guys that was working on the rocket packs of that. Okay, I remember him. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Jim, just quickly, you mentioned that this was your second film. What was the first one you worked on?
The Abyss.
Oh, really?
James Cameron's Abyss. Yeah. I started off in a small commercial production house in Culver City, did a few commercials there, and then got a call from a friend of mine that said, "Oh, this guy at Design Setters is gearing up to do this submarine movie, all kinds of submersibles and stuff. You should really try to, get in, and work there." And showed up and said, I can make models, and got hired from there. And I spent 6 months with Design Setters on doing all the dry for wet miniatures, and then from there all those miniatures were transported up to Simi Valley at DreamQuest Images, where all the photography was done. And I spent another 6 months up there working on stages and smoke-filled rooms with motion control cameras, and it was a blast. And then from there we back to Design Setters, and then the Rocketeer came in, and went on to work on that.
Did you get a lot of set time with the Rocketeer? Were you?
No. I mean, from once we got that final rocket pack done, the helmet, we took a beauty shot. We brought in some red velvet, and I think there's maybe some pictures on the Facebook page. Set up some red velvet and the helmet, and the rocket got some beautiful pictures, and then from there, boom, it was gone. And then the union got word that a non-union shop was working on this. What's going on? So they quickly came and grabbed everything from us. It's like, oh, okay. Well, that was fun. Thanks, guys. we did stay on for a little longer, and we did a bunch of the extra helmets and some of the stunt helmets and that sort of thing. But pretty much after that, we were done.
Wow. Did you build the pyro version of the X3 as well?
No, that was was it John Bruno? I think it was. Was that the guy's name? Or John Bellew? He's in the credits here somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they pretty much took they grabbed our molds in bits and pieces, and they from that point on, Union took over in their shops, and they just so they did everything on their end. So, I was there at the beginning, the development process, and meeting Joe Johnson, and there's those moments, we had one of the first rockets that we had finished, the barrel shaped one, there on the table waiting for Joe and some of the other production people to come by and have a look at it, and there were some fuel doors on the rocket, and it needed a little kind of a curved, sort of deco looking handle on it. Earlier it was the day before I was going through my junk stuff at home, and I'm a vintage air-cooled Volkswagen fanatic, so there's parts everywhere. And I grabbed a set of early interior door handles, they were perfect. So I took those and kind of molded them, cast them, and fit them into that early prototype. And Joe Johnson comes in, and he looks at it, and he's like, I recognize those handles. He kind of laughed and then moved on from there. I thought
no wonder the Germans wanted it so bad.
Yeah.
So,
Wait a minute. Yeah.
kind of a typical Joe Johnston attention to detail there, spotting something like that. That seems true to form.
Yeah, right away. I thought I was getting away with something. Thinking, this is perfect. Oh, yeah. No, he cut it.
Wow. Still, it's amazing how, unlike, I mean, I know there are other films like this, but I've never known the longevity of this film, the love for it that the production people have had for this movie. I mean, it just seems a constant. I don't think we've heard from anybody who didn't have a great time being a part of this movie. I realize it was hectic and everything. Yeah. But just being a part of such a great thing to see on screen must be very rewarding, I would imagine, just seeing this stuff and going, I did that part.
Yeah, it's really neat to be part of something that you love yourself. I mean, it's such a beautiful film. It's perfect from beginning to end, and it's just one of those things. It's like you want to tell people about it. Have you ever seen The Rocketeer? Because if you haven't seen it, you should really see it. It's amazing, and I meet so many young people and they've never seen it, and I got to tell them, you got to see this movie, you got to see it.
It's the kind of movie that if you meet somebody who hasn't seen it, you want to sit backwards and just watch them watch the movie.
Yeah, I do that with my daughter's boyfriends. She's got a boyfriend, and we like to watch movies together. And it's like, have you seen The Rocketeer? He's like, what? No. Okay, tonight, get the DVD out. We're sitting down. I'll make the popcorn. We're going to watch The Rocketeer.
And if
you're going to be evaluated.
Yes, I was going to say, and if
right.
he doesn't like it, well, there's the door, son.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's a good litmus test.
Yes.
Yeah. And actually, let's talk about this. At least the half of the movie that has half of this minute that has pictures in it. We're watching. Poor Billy Campbell has to kiss Jennifer Connelly yet again.
All in a day's work, I suppose.
Yeah. As they stand around the, this is the GB Model Z. Is that right, Hal?
This is the mock-up Model Z replica. The one that flew earlier in the film is obviously a real flying replica. This is the mock-up, and this is the one that ended up on the back lot at MGM for years. You don't have any insight on who built this or would have worked on this kind of thing, would you, Jim?
No, I don't.
Okay, I figured that would have been a separate thing, but the mock-up aircraft work in this movie is terrific. With the H-1 Racer, with the Pitcairn Auto Gyro, it's all just terrific. But
the propeller spins on this one too, if I recall.
I'm almost convinced I'm pretty well convinced that this one had to have worn two paint schemes, as I think back on it, because you've got. Was it Goose who actually hand props the airplane while Billy is sitting in it? And I just cannot imagine under any circumstances they would have had him hand propping the real flying airplane. Had an actor doing that. It's possible. We've never gotten to the bottom of it, but I just struggle to imagine that. But anyway, I'd
worry about breaking an arm.
Yeah, exactly, or losing fingers or something. But it's great in this scene. It's kind of fitting that. This is the last sort of visual scene in the movie. You've got a young prop maker in the scene. You've got Patsy with her homemade Rocketeer outfit. She's got, I think, a colander on her head and two Quaker Oats canisters, round boxes. I don't know what you call those, sort of strapped to her back.
Yeah, her own X3.
Yeah, her own X3. I think that's nicely fitting. And I've never really paid much attention, but I loved noticing that the kid she's chasing has borrowed somebody's fedora. And so he's playing playing either the mafia bad guy or who knows who. But
yeah, I was hoping if he had grabbed a pork pie hat, it could have been Lothar.
Oh yeah,
but,
exactly.
From what I understood, the earlier script, Danny Bilson had talked with us, I think, about how the original scene was we were going to see like a looming shadow of Lothar. That somehow he had come off the blimp, but actually it was a kid dressed up as Lothar, and then Patsy would be chasing after this kid playing Lothar. But it just, I think for just the interest of time, they edited it down to just the scene here.
It's a beautiful closing shot, and it's so hard to believe that we've worked through so many of these episodes so far.
It's and of course the James Horner music coming up.
Oh yeah, that
on
wonderful.
Top of it, just making it even more perfect.
So Jim, as you watch this movie and you've rewatched it over the years, is there a particular moment for you anywhere in these 109 minutes where you you see something, and every time you're I don't know, are you proud of it? Are you especially happy about it, or something that causes a real specific reaction?
Well, primarily, it's obviously, when the helmet's done for the first time, when they do the reveal,
Right.
I mean, that's a moment there. It's like, yeah, the helmet, yeah, it looks great. And then of course, when they're revealing the rocket in the hangar and taking the duffel bag and pulling it down, you see the detail of it, and that the finish that we put on it, and that was real zinc metal coating on it. It wasn't paint. What we did, it's funny. I mean, the process was just like, quick, how are we going to do this? How are we going to make it look like real metal? And what it is, it's a arc spraying coating. It's basically superheated metal that's sprayed that creates a coating. But what we did is we use that spraying process into the mold. So you're actually spraying it into the mold, the first layer, and then backing it with fiberglass. So when you pull the part out of the mold, that surface you get is pure metal.
Oh, wow.
That's similar to what one of our Finhead friends, Jamie Hicks, does with he does cold cast aluminum in a similar fashion, that the inside of the mold is lined with metal. But it the effect is it looks it might as well have been a metal device. It's so real. I mean, it's just amazing the clarity of it. Even on the Blu-ray edition here, it just looks like something that was knocked together at Lockheed.
Yeah, it was experimental. The guy BJB Enterprises, they're in Orange County, and they do all kinds of resins and polymers. I mean, that's their main thing. But one of the guys there, we were talking to him, and he says, "Well, you know what? I got this arc metal sprayer that sprays zinc. I think we're just experimenting with it." So we brought him the mold, and the first mold we did was a silicone mold, because all the molds that we do are silicone, and it was the actual spray was bouncing off it wouldn't stick. So he said, we need a harder mold. He says, why don't we do a urethane mold, which is a much harder rubber. And so then we made a urethane mold, second set mold of the pack, and brought that down to him, and he set up, and sure enough, it stuck. We take the molds to him, he sprays it, we bring it back to the shop, we lay in the fiberglass, pull those out, send the mold back down to him, he sprays in another layer and bring it back, do the fiberglass process. And that was the only two that were done. Only two hero packs were done with that spray zinc finish. But I mean, the result was amazing. I mean, when you brush it with Scotch-Brite pads and sandpaper, it looked amazing.
Now, you said those were the two hero packs were done that way. So the stunt packs, would they have just been painted or just paint?
Yeah, they're all just paint paint finishes. Yeah.
And did you also did the paratrooper the stunt helmet that was used on the Miss Mabel, the ones with the breakaway breakaway faceplate?
Yeah, we did a whole bunch of the breakaway helmets, and those were vacuforms. We had the molds on the helmet. We did castings and broke it down into three pieces, the left, right, and sort of the front section. So we had three pieces to vacuform, which is basically a machine that heats thin sheets of styrene plastic. It's drawn over the part, and then vacuum sucks it tight around it. Those pieces are then trimmed and then put together, and then the front face piece with the eyes, the lenses, that was Velcroed on. We made a whole bunch of those, because when they did the gag in the air, basically when he came off the plane, he had to get the helmet off, so he basically just tore it off to get it out of the way, and then point released his chute, and then came to the ground. So I'm wondering if anywhere out there in the field somewhere some Rocketeer helmet parts that have just never got picked up. I don't know if they kept counting.
I smell an expedition in the works.
What?
Yes.
Movie
prop archaeology.
Here, yes.
It's only been 25 years. Vacuum form, that must last for about that.
Yeah.
And the rocket pack that was for the stunt guy, was that also a breakaway? Did that fold off, or how was that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, at that point, it was out of our hands. I do remember there was an issue with the stunt helmets, is that and no disrespect to the stunt person, but he had a really large nose, and we fit the helmet over. They provided us a plaster cast of his head, and we couldn't get the helmet on his head because it was just too. It was a plaster cast, so his nose obviously wasn't soft and it wouldn't bend, but we couldn't get it on there, so. Jokingly, we cut a hole in one of the helmets and flipped it on, and his nose was sticking out. And then, again, as a joke, because we put rivets just around the hole to make it look like it's supposed to be there. Well, he showed up one day to check out the helmets, and nobody had thought to maybe take our little joke and put it away, and he saw it, and he didn't really appreciate it too much, so... yeah, or they're real funny guys. Yeah. The breakaways did have a little bit more room in them.
So you mentioned
I remember
the interior door handles from the Volkswagen on the earlier single engine design of the rocket pack. Has anything ended up in the hero packs that you see on screen? Any off the shelf parts that not necessarily we'd recognize, but we might have you might be aware of?
I think the only thing that's off the shelf, but you probably can't see it unless you've got a kit in front of you. There were some bits and pieces on the engine right above the sort of the thruster nozzle, and those were just some surplus parts we bought and cast and sort of fitted to it. There's Apex Electronics is kind of the go-to place in the industry for aircraft parts and electronic surplus and stuff. We went there, we got those parts, and that's also where we found the belt buckle. They just happen to have these, what we think and what everybody seems to think is a German paratrooper buckle.
Yeah.
And I don't remember how many we got. I think it was either 4 or 6 of them, just everything they had. So we just grabbed them all, and obviously then those were used in the final harness. And then the rest of them I think we gave to production to do whatever else they needed to do with them, if they needed to make some other stunt pack things or whatever. And I know there's still one floating around out there. I know the seamstress has it. I think she's hanging on to it. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all. As far as off-the-shelf items goes, it's pretty much a couple bits in the engines and then those buckles. Yeah, Apex Electronics is it's a pretty interesting place. It's very scary because they have just piles and piles stacked high of parts, and you don't want to be there in an earthquake. You can go to you can go to their website, and they got one of those 360-degree cameras, and you can kind of take a look around the place and their backyard, and kind of look. It's kind of fun just to see what they have there. And but they're like I said, they're kind of the industry go-to place for.
And they're
parts.
At least strictly, or at least primarily a surplus sort of place, right? So it's all sort of vintagey things.
Yeah,
they're aiming at the movie industry. They're not they're not necessarily intentionally selling parts that might still be reused. Or...
Oh no, it's electronic surplus. I mean, there's do-it-yourself guys. They've got shelves. One aisle that's just all wire, and an aisle that's just all switches and stuff. The really cool stuff they have there is they rent, any aircraft gauges or fuel tanks or anything that they know that they can make more money off of than just selling it. They just rent it.
Things with blinking lights and that kind of stuff. And
yeah, I remember they had one of the pieces they had there, and I recognized it. It was IG-88, the droid.
Yeah.
It was a bounty hunter droid in Star Wars. IG-88's head was there, sitting there, and oh, I know that part. And then it's some component out of a jet engine. It's like, we sell it? Nope, it's for rent. And they rent it all the time because it's this really cool piece. But it's like, it's IG-88's head. There it is.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
Definitely a dangerous place to avoid, Hal. I can tell. I could put that in the dining room. I could.
Yeah.
I'm buying my ticket now.
Yes.
One thing this will be the final, maybe one of the few gaps, or not gaps, but there's a thing to look for in this final minute is the woman that's dressed as Millie. I don't think is beloved character actress Margot Martindale.
Oh, really?
At least in the first second there. I noticed her hair's done up that way. She's wearing the same outfit, and we see Millie in the wide shot, but I don't.
Are you talking about right at the tail end of the GB? It's like literally the first shot of this thing.
Yeah, like second 3 or something. It just
if that's supposed to be her, that's not her.
Yeah, it's definitely not Margot.
You can see her in profile. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if she was out that day, and I've looked into other group shots through this, which is really a sad thing looking through it. But she only appears in that one scene, so I'm just wondering if maybe they just need some.
And
coverage.
when we have the elevated shot as Patsy's chasing somebody around, and we're seeing a longer shot, we see what I would be sure would be Margot Martindale walking back from that, or walking to the front of the airplane, to the front of the wing.
Yeah, where she
where that
stood.
Other woman had just stood. But was that the same outfit with that sort of apron?
I can't see. Well, she's from behind. We're looking at her from behind, but it looks like she's got an apron around her. She's got the same those little diamond cuffs on her sleeves. Yeah,
peculiar.
I don't know. One last parting shot as we're watching the whole thing for the final. And this was at Valencia, right? I think this is the last scene from Valencia with the dog. And now we're convinced that the dog actually did go on. This was the one that was moved to MGM'd?
I believe it was. I don't know the details of that, but I'm pretty sure that this set was moved.
Yeah, just got packed up and then spent years out there with tour buses driving past.
Yeah.
So, Jim, let me ask you this. Is there anything, and I understand the nature of the business, you can't always necessarily say or disclose anything. Is there anything you're working on now that you can tell us about in this?
Let's see. God, we got so many things going on. We got I guess a YouTube music video, which just was canceled, which is a real bummer. so I can tell you because it's not going to happen. Yeah. We
great.
Yeah, we created these wonderful little dioramas and sort of following the life of Bono, and it's one thing led to another, and it's canceled.
Oh, well, that's a shame.
Yeah, but it's funny. Yeah, I mean, it seems like our bread and butter is commercial production, and we do a lot of that. But no, our shop is big. I mean, we're touted as the largest set company in L.A. Really big facility.
And that company today is Vision Scenery?
Vision Scenery, yeah.
Vision Scenery, okay.
Have you heard anything with your ear to the ground on the Rocketeer sequel? Because we've been trying to find out, and there was the initial press release, and then it just went into the ether.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard anything about it. It's I scoured the internet trying to find information and see what's going on, but yeah, I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, we've been doing this now. This was almost a year to the day that they had announced, and since then, I don't know. No, nobody's talking. Hopefully, somebody's working busily on the movie, but don't know anything where it's coming. I'm having a hard time letting go of this film because I know this is the last time we're going to see a picture of it. It's just very. I
just want to cling to it and let it linger.
Yeah,
and we keep threatening to start over with the Rocketeer 30-second show where we go 30 seconds at a time and go deeper. Not that we have that kind of time.
You're going to do the excitement of the air minute, correct? I mean that's a whole.
Yeah.
That's actually a pretty good idea.
Yeah, you finish with the credits and then move right into that.
Yeah. So somebody needs a behind the scenes of behind the scenes.
Right. Another 25 minutes or so of show.
Yeah. Stand it on our head.
Now, Jim, you don't by chance know if there's a better copy of it of that one out there anywhere. Have you ever heard of anything like that's on YouTube and it's somebody's sort of low res VHS grab, etc.? But
I've got a VHS grab that I grabbed during the time, but that's still pretty. It's still pretty bad. Yeah, I don't know of any better copies of that. Yeah.
I was so hoping when the Blu-ray came out that it would be taken out of the Disney vaults and strapped onto the back of the Blu-ray, but no luck.
Yeah.
No luck.
Sad. Well, maybe the 4K version. That's when it'll come.
Yeah.
Well, Jim, thank you so much for being on our show. As we're saying farewell to the Rocketeer here, we're going to continue talking about, but as the credits roll by all next week. But it's really been fantastic catching up with you and for you providing all those amazing rare pictures of the behind the scenes. So many people love this film, and being able to share more about it has been quite an experience for us. And thanks for providing the material too.
Oh, sure. It's been fun.
And Jim, before we let you get away, I've seen you've shared personally some terrific photos on Facebook of some great vintage Disney stuff that you've been restoring, the monorail pilot's console and seat, which I just about fell out of my chair when I saw the Autopia car, things like that. Is there, does Vision, well, first of all, is that private or is that part of your business? And is there a way that more people can see some of that restoration type work that you've been doing?
It's all private. It's separate from Vision.
Okay.
I've kind of got a couple hours to kill every night because of traffic, so that's pretty much what I do after hours is work on these restorations. But no, my Facebook post is public. People can find me and they can look at. I like to share my stuff. I get a kick out of it, and I do have a Tumblr page that I post as well.
Oh, you do? Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah, and it's pretty much just copies of the Facebook stuff. It's I've got a 59 submarine voyage sea turtle coming in a couple weeks to restore. I'm really excited about that piece.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, how cool is that?
Yeah, I really love the old Disneyland stuff. It's just a kick.
You didn't happen to have a Meet Mr. Lincoln in your house, do you?
No, I don't.
Hey, Tomorrowland Rocket somewhere hidden away by any chance? The TWA?
No, I got it just last week, a few days ago. Yeah, I got a email from a art director, and he's doing a Disneyland commercial, and he says, what would it cost to build one of the 70s Skyway buckets? And I'm like, well, build it. Why would you build it? I'll find one for you. Wow. He's like, no, I'll find one for you. And of course, hung up the phone, made a couple calls, and 20 minutes later, I found two that the guys are willing to rent. So hopefully, if this goes through, I'll be able to get that in the shop and do a little work on that, and that'll be fun because it's for a Disneyland commercial, so that'll be kind of a kick. Yeah, that'll be a kick.
Now, how much would you charge us to come out and just stand in it for 30 seconds?
No, come on anytime. The doors are open. You know.
gosh.
Now I want to get a dune buggy. I have to find a haunted mansion. Well, anyway, this has opened up. This has
full
opened
size.
up. This has opened up a financial nightmare for me. I have to think of these things. But wow, a whole new obsession. I know Hal is ready to jump on this as well. It's such a part of childhood.
No kidding.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the thing that's fun about the Disneyland, the props is it really takes you back to when you were a kid, and when I was working on the Utopia car, there's details that were missing from it, and one of the things that I remember so much is that big leather strap, that belt, that's going to keep me in, not
Yeah.
But anyway, so it was missing. So I made looked online at pictures and photographs, how the size of the leather and the grommets, and made sure it had the same color tone and the attachments and everything were just right. Now, when I got inside the car and sat down and I threw that belt over me to try it out, I mean, it was just like one of those time travel moments, and it just the emotion just kind of came over me. It's like, wow, that really took me back. Sitting in that fiberglass car, putting that strap across and hooking it on that hook, it was just like, and I told the owner I was doing it, and he says, amazing. Yeah, he says it just takes you back. I mean, that's the neatest thing about these props, is it just brings back those happy memories you had when you were a kid. Yeah.
I have to tell you that vinyl backrest that you did. I refinished some old furniture that I have, and trying to get the corners just right, that was perfect. I have to tell you, that was a great job on the vinyl backrest.
Okay, I have to confess, I didn't. That's an original piece.
Oh, it is. Okay.
How it survived, I have no idea.
That's astonishing.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of other people's cars that they have and they're working on, and those pieces are gone. Either that or they're completely rotted. So I don't know how this one survived.
Wow, it's pristine. I mean, the pictures of it are fantastic.
Yeah. It just for some reason it survived the process, and I've gotten calls from a couple other guys that are doing cars and asking me what I want to take on another project or not. Yeah.
If you had an Autopia podcast, I would tune in every day, just to let you know.
I know so much about the Utopia now, all the research and everything. It's amazing. It's just fun. The research is fun to do.
Wow. Okay, yeah, I know. I could talk all about Yesterland and inner space, the Monsanto exhibit and all that other jazz. And,
that Monsanto house is it's one of the coolest things.
Wow.
I have a writer friend of mine that sometimes he pays me in Disneyland memorabilia. I did a model. He was doing a documentary on Ed Wood, and he needed a model of Ed Wood's studio for a little scene. And he says, "Well, I don't have a lot of money, but I have this ride poster. Will you take that?" I'm like, "Sure, why not?"
Awesome.
And at the time it was worth $50, maybe $100, and it's on the wall in my house. And then I just saw the same poster at auction recently for $5,000. So it's like, yeah, okay, I think I made a good trade. Yeah, so it gives me. So I've got a few posters and the original silkscreen posters and
cool,
that kind of stuff. It's funny.
Well, Jim, thanks again for being such a big part of our show, behind the scenes, all these many minutes, and now finally here at the end. Yeah. We'll keep going as long as there's things to say. And by the way, even though next week is our last week, if we do have news or information about the Rocketeer sequels, or if anything new comes out, or if we ever get a call from Jennifer Connelly, we'll be on for a special episode.
I could never get her on the show. It's like,
no. Well, we've got 4 more episodes. So
Oh, that's true.
Never give up.
Yeah.
Never say never.
Well, until the lawyers tell you.
Until the cease and desist letters to start flying. But, when we started this 105 episodes ago, we didn't have any inclination at all that Billy Campbell would be on, almost 24 times or something like that he's joined us. So.
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible that he came. What a nice guy. I remember meeting him for the first time, and wow, what a nice guy. Just one of the guys when he was there in the shop for the fittings and stuff, and just really neat.
Yeah, he's just as nice off mic as he is on mic, and it's refreshing. It's very comforting to know people are really nice even when they don't have to be.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well, for folks who want to join in our continuing conversation, we're always available online. You can find us on, of course, all the usual places: Twitter, Rocketeer Minute. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Rocketeer Minute. You can find us at the great big site, rocketeerminute.com. Catch up on all the previous episodes with all of our great guests. and catch some cool swag at Amazon through the site. And you can still subscribe, even though we've got a week left. You can still subscribe and have this episodes delivered hot and fresh every morning. Just go to iTunes or Google Play, type in Rocketeer Minute, and click the subscribe button when our name comes up. So we're going to finish here, and we're going to start a partial week next week as we complete the saga of the Rocketeer. So join us next time here, and have a great weekend. Until next time, over and out.
Go get him, kid.